In October of 2025, we got a re-release of the Ruby Spears MegaMan cartoon on Blu-ray, with one of the bonus features being a brand new rescanning of the original animated pitch for the show, where the character designs look much closer to the original version of classic Mega Man. In January of 2026, a YouTube user named Derps posted the 2D pilot pitch for MegaMan Fully Charged, containing two 11-minute episodes, both of which were complete with voice acting, music, and sound effects, as well as new, never-before-seen characters. The only thing I'm not crazy about with this upload is the fact that it has that timer at the top of the screen, but unless the powers that be decide to give us the pilot as an official release in some capacity, there's nothing that can be done about it. I'm very curious as to how Derps got a hold of this pilot. I suppose that's a question for another day though. But, a more important question, how good is this pilot? Well, first and foremost, just taking a look at the intro and comparing it to the animation of the final product, this animation style is much, much more desirable. The 2D art makes it look like Mega Man does Ben 10. No surprise really, since this is a Man of Action cartoon. The final 3D one looks like Mega Man does PJ Masks or Cocomelon. Just not a very good art style. Alright, let's start with the intro. We're greeted by the sick guitar riff of the greatest, but also the most overused classic Mega Man song, Wily Stage 1 from Mega Man 2. We get a broad shot of the city, before zooming in to find Dr. Light and his two kids, Suna and Aki, as well as Rush. One notable difference is that in the final version of the show, Suna's skin tone was noticeably darker than it was in this pilot. People run away in terror as Jewel Man bursts out of the ground, and an ice-based robot master, who is likely either Frostman or Coldman, is shooting ice beams everywhere, and then Fireman makes an appearance, with a much different design than he has in the final show. Jewel Man's design is also slightly different, but still recognizable. I will say up front that none of these three actually appear in the pilot, and Cold Frostman isn't in the final show at all. He joins Napalm Man from the Ruby Spears cartoon by showing up in the intro, but never in the series proper. Aki runs off from the group and totally rips off Ben 10 by hitting his watch and doing a Magical Girl transformation into Mega Man. We get to see what Mega Mini looks like, and his design is way different from the final show. Mega Man engages the three robot masters, and as Proto-Doo points out, Mega Man does a flying kick to Fireman, similar to how he did in the Ruby Spears pitch. After Mega Man blasts Cold Frostman in the face, we then see that the show is simply called Mega Man instead of Mega Man Fully Charged. Mega Man blasts the camera, and we begin the episode proper, with a similar wide shot of the same city. In fact, it's the exact same shot. Winds of Change, this episode is called. We get a montage of robots serving humans in everyday life, and Fake Man makes a cameo here, directing traffic. The Light family is walking through a park, talking about the upcoming event called Unity Week, which celebrates humans and robots coexisting. Given the rise of generative AI, the jokes are too easy, so I'm just gonna move on.
Unity Week is the bolts!
I'm with you, Aki.
I'm not sure who voiced Dr. Light in this pilot, but in Fully Charged, he was voiced by Gary Chalk.
How often does one get the opportunity to address the bright future of Silicon City?
As far as I can tell, Aki and Suna have the same voice actors, though. It's time for the kids to go to school.
Shine bright, little lights.
Okay, that was cute. Suddenly, there's a tornado. Aki still has 3 minutes before class starts, so he decides that it's hero time. Aki tracks the source of the tornado to an old factory, and apparently Suna can help him with visual comms over a distance. It's been a while since I watched the whole show, but I don't remember her doing that in the final version. Mega Man storms the building and finds Electman messing with everything. Electman's design looks much different from both classic and Fully Charged. This is actually giving me really big Teen Titans vibes. Maybe it's because the aesthetic reminds me of Cyborg? Either way, his personality is similar to the final version of Electman.
What does this do? Never saw one of these before. Oh, what a pretty red. Is it Tuesday? My shows are on tonight.
I'm awesome and unplugged and juiced up and focused. I'm always focused.
A fight breaks out, and the action's pretty good, for two robots just shooting energy beams back and forth. Mega Man knocks out Electman, and a rather large silhouette is watching them. Time for Mega Man to claim his trophy.
Replication activation.
One key difference between the pilot and the final show with replication ability is that in the finished product, it was like a copying beam that had to stay focused on the robot that Mega Man was stealing the powers from. Whereas here, direct contact is needed, much like the Ruby Spears cartoon. More than just copying weapons, Mega Man copies schematics from the other robots. This means that he can copy not just powers, but also different aspects of the other robots, like personality quirks and programming logic. He's not just copying their weapons, but also how they're programmed. Immediately, Mega Man is feeling supercharged from all the electricity. Mega Mini warns Aki not to use them recklessly, but this is a superhero cartoon following a preteen protag, so of course he's going to use them to zip around like a lightning bolt. Our big friend in the shadows laments that Electman is incapacitated, and he receives new instructions from his shadowy overlord. Back at school, Aki can't handle all the new electricity that he's giving off. Suna has him grab a piece of metal to discharge the excess, and that's totally a lightsaber sound effect. After discharging the energy, MegaMan opens up the top of Aki's head and crawls out through a hatch. This is something I don't remember happening in the final show either. Mega Mini only exits MegaMan's head through the light on the helmet, never through his civilian mode head. I guess Mini's the guy in the chair, and the guy in the hair. I'm guessing they didn't do that in the final show because it would have just looked weird in CGI. Anyway, the tornadoes are back, and the big guy reveals that he's named Turbine Man. In the final show, the wind-based enemy was Airman, and he looks vastly different from both Turbine Man and the original Robot Master.
School's out! Forever!
Ah, my favorite Alice Cooper song. Glad to see the MegaMan media is still making music references. MegaMan decides to try out his new weapon against Turbine Man, who can apparently separate his arms from his body for attacks. Plot twist, Electroman's power energizes Turbine Man. I guess that's why they call him Turbine Man instead of just Airman. So if Electroman's power supercharged Turbine Man, the MegaMan can just overload him with too much electricity. Other than both Turbine Man and Airman using similar powers, there's not much similar in the characters, as Airman is completely full of himself.
I'm the greatest! I'm even the greatest at being the greatest!
And Turbine Man is kind of just a generic bruiser. But Airman does name drop Turbine Man's episode.
The winds of change are here, bottom feeders!
Dr. Light meets up with Suna and MegaMan, and honestly his mouth movement is the worst part of this whole 2D animation. For some reason, they just couldn't make his talking animation as smooth as everyone else's. MegaMan comments that even though Electroman and Turbine Man were breaking the law, they deserve a chance to redeem themselves. The shadowy overlord from earlier shows us a plot device for the next episode. Part 2 of the pilot is called Big Trouble in Silicon City. Obvious reference is obvious. Dr. Light is trying out a joke on Suna in preparation for a speech that he's going to give at Unity Day. The joke falls flat, so he decides to come up with a new one. Once he leaves, Aki is venting to Suna about how MegaMan is supposed to be getting the key to the city at the celebration, while he's stuck doing chores. Typical I'm a hero, I deserve better spiel. And their pet robot fish try to drown him. Shadowy Overlord is watching a holographic display, and we get a robot who might be a reference to either Brightman or Numberman.exe. The big light bulb head is definitely Brightman-esque, but Numberman is green.
Are you ready, Gargantuan?
Okay, that's just a straight-up Ben 10 character right there. I know I keep making Ben 10 references, but it's kind of hard when they're this on the nose with the similarities. Overlord gives G-Man the kryptonite, and he eats it. Dr. Light tries to open up with a new joke.
A robot and a human walk into a lubrication station.
Gargantuan crashes the speech, and we see more fake men getting tossed around here. He then holo-projects communications from his shadowy overlord.
Can't be. Unity is a lie, Dr. Light. Robots are not equal to humans. They are superior in every way. Robots, this is your call to arms. Join me.
This is one of the biggest changes from the final show. This guy is named Sergeant Knight, and he is opposed to robots and humans coexisting. The difference is that in the final show, he was human and spoke poorly of robots and had a cornball southern accent. Here, as far as I can tell, he is a robot. Granted, in Fully Charged, he had an armor suit that he wore as his alter ego, Lord Obsidian, pretending to be a robot, but still, they did a complete 180 on his unmasked mannerisms. I guess they thought the prototype was too much like Sigma, so they changed him. Unfortunately, we'll never know if this was real or a misdirection, since this version of the show was changed so much. Anyway, the fight gets underway, and Gargantuman's ability is to absorb damage and get larger. In addition to expanding his size, his ego is also growing.
But all I feel is how much more awesome I'm getting! Like that's even possible! Double pancake slam!
As impressive as that looked, MegaMan dodges and copies his schematic, trying to learn his weaknesses.
Kinetic growth field, fueled by a gargantium nanomatrix.
The techno babble translates to kryptonite. This guy's Metallo. G-Man gets much bigger, and MegaMan answers in kind, activating a giant Mega Buster. Unfortunately, MegaMan's ego is also getting the best of him.
I say Mega, you say Man.
When I say good, you say
MegaMan fires back, but again, it only makes G-Man larger, and he crashes into a building. The chaotic battle causes the citizens to flee in terror. MegaMan realizes that Gargantuman's schematics is messing with his ego, so he deactivates those powers and goes down G-Man's throat to attack his core directly. It turns out that the giant robot was being piloted by a smaller robot and the kryptonite. Yeah, like I said, he's Metallo. After MegaMan removes the tiny bot, Gargantuman collapses. Sergeant Knight swears revenge, and Aki has learned his lesson about keeping his ego under control, doing the right thing because it's right. But before he can get the key to the city, he has to help sweep up the damage that he caused.
Finally, some applause.
And that's the Mega Man cartoon that never was. On the whole, I definitely think that this version would have been much better than the final one we got. The 2D animation, while not flawless, was much more appealing than the 3D version. And even if some of the animation was rough, it was just a pilot. Give it a bigger budget and it could have looked much better. I also see where some of the design and influence of the prototype Robot Masters ended up. Turbine Man was replaced by Airman, who also inherited Gargantua Man's ego, and Big G's powers sort of got reworked into this version of Gutsman, with both robots getting larger as they get more powerful. At the end of the day, I weep for this version of the show. Again, I can't say whether or not this version would have made it to a second season, as the Ben 10 influence seemed even more on display here, and some people see that as a detriment being such a blatant copycat. But again, it definitely would have gone over better with longtime fans, just because it looks better. I remember back in the day seeing so many people saying that they weren't even going to attempt to watch the show just because it looked bad. But I'll save my full thoughts on Fully Charged for the full video review. I'm also interested in finding out what exactly happened between the pilot and the full release. There has to be more to this story. But what do you think? Would this version of a Mega Man cartoon have done that much better than the final product? Or was any version of Mega Man Fully Charged doomed to fail? What did you think about the pilot episode? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Special thanks to all Patreon supporters, including Mark Hastings,